I've never done this. There we go.
Yeah, give me a minute. It is just setting up.
Okay. I've never done this. There we go. So I can hear myself through your speaker.
You can mute it at your end.
I think we're good. Yeah.
You're good. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good day. And those who are watching live with us, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're going to watch us. Here we are, episode 2 from Hope Stories, presented by I4Peace, a social non-profit initiative. We are working on mental health, suicide prevention, and depression awareness. So this is one such initiative where Project Impact is bringing to you hope stories, the stories of hope and change. And we are back again with episode 2. We have with us Jessica Dale. Hi, Jessica. Welcome on board. Thank you so much.
Hello. Welcome. Yeah, I'm welcome to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Jessica Dale is an intuitive coach. She's a healer, and I will not take much time, so I will hand it over to Jessica to share about her profile first. Let's hear from her. What is she doing right now? Go on, Jessica.
Hi, yes, my name is Jessica Dale. I am an intuitive coach. My background is in nursing and addictions, and I use my intuition to help people tap into their own source of healing. I truly believe that everyone has it within them to understand their path, and everyone is gifted with intuition, with a sense of spirituality, with a connection to God, and it's just getting clear of the blocks to be able to really dive into who we were meant to be. And every person alive is gifted this. So I work with people bringing that to the forefront. So yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. And what we see right now, you as a personality into spirituality and healing journey, and it did not just start as it is what you're seeing as a rosy picture, right? You have lots to share, I believe, and Jessica has gone through in fact, as she has been growing up in her teenage years, a lot of abuse, violence, aggression, and addiction, even not to leave that as a. So we want to hear about, so that's where look at the transformation and look at where she is right now and how it took all of it to. It's amazing. It's a transformational journey. What you are doing right now, it's I'm so proud of you. And would you want to share it with the viewers today?
Absolutely, yes. And I just want to preface it by saying that even with the background that I have, I truly believe that it is my greatest strength and my gift to have gone through the experiences that I went through and have gone through in my life to allow me the space to heal. And I truly believe that that's what allows me to provide the care that I do for people. So it's not a tragedy. My story is definitely one of hope, and it allows me. Yeah, it allows me to be able to see anybody, and no matter what path they have walked, what they've been through, I can empathize. I can see the strength in the adversity. And yes, but my story is one of trauma and yes, violence and addiction and abuse. And you know, my teenage years were very tumultuous, but that's because leading up to them, I had experienced trauma and abuse in my childhood. So it didn't come about. My teenage years didn't come about out of nowhere. I do believe that I was soul contracted to experience these things. but yes, it was a very difficult time to be a teenager who was addicted to substances and experiencing traumatic, violent experiences and chaos. And I got to a point in my life where you choose this path or you choose this path. And it was very clear. It was almost a spiritual moment for me when it was,
Right.
okay, so you see where you can go. I was given a vision of where I could see where I was going to end up if I continued to do drugs, or I chose the spiritual path, which was also in front of me. And that was through the 12, like a 12-step group, which forever grateful for, and still implement the spiritual principles I learned in 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous in my life to this day. Yes, but it wasn't easy. It's not easy to experience violence and rape and abuse, and to feel alone, and to turn to substances in order to fulfill a need, which they did. But it's a quick fix. It didn't give me exactly what I needed. And what I needed was to find a sense of my spiritual side, my understanding of God, of a higher power.
It is never easy. I mean, as you said, it's never easy at all. And it takes a lot of courage and perseverance, strength, determination, you name it. And to be able to achieve in the place where you are right now, and becoming a coach and becoming an expert, dealing with adolescents and teenagers who are going through addiction and abuse. And you've been also into holistic as a nurse, right? Holistic
Yes.
mind, body, spirit nurse. So you've been in this journey. So how long you've been working with the teenagers or of this group?
Well, I've been working with people with addictions, mental health issues, right? Since 2005, just volunteering my time, helping people basically break the patterns of addiction, or relationship patterns that come along with that. Because with a addiction comes codependent relationships or abusive relationships. And I'm like, it's neither good nor bad, it just is, right? And then, so when I look at people with addictions or mental health issues, and they do go hand in hand, concurrent disorders, you very rarely are going to have someone with an addiction issue who doesn't have depression or anxiety, or most of it's trauma, most of it's PTSD. And honestly, I can look at it and say pretty much everything comes from childhood trauma and traumatic experiences. And, taking chemicals only will compound that, because when you're in that life, you're in a different existence. It's like the way that I can describe it from being in it is like almost like it's a hell. It's like it's a real hell. Like you get relief from it, and the drugs drugs or alcohol or whatever you're addicted to. It can be work, sex, gambling, relationships, fantasy. It gives you the temporary relief, but you're literally living in this cycle of low vibrational energy. And then when you decide to, when you're done, when you've hit bottom, or when you have a crisis in your life and you're like, okay, like I need to do something different, you almost get born again into this different experience and you get a chance to experience higher energy feelings more regularly. That comes from gratitude. But for me, it's been working with people to do that. So it's not as simple as saying like, oh, like I help people get clean. It's like, no, I help people literally break the cycles of addiction or habits or patterns that don't serve them, that keep them in this low energy, low vibrational state. And then once they can break through into a higher vibrational state, they're like, oh, it's like a pink cloud of like love and gratitude and like just overwhelming feelings of joy and freedom. The freedom that you get when you get to break that pattern that doesn't really actually serve you as the person you were designed to be is is indescribable. And I want everybody to experience that, because everybody has some trauma or some pattern created from trauma that keeps them stuck in a literal hell on earth.
Right. So true. And okay, right now you've had immense experience into in this journey of yours, dealing with yourself. First, you need to heal yourself. Only then you've been able to, and being in this for such a long year. I mean, it's tremendous amount of experience, right? And when you began, when you tried to, that transformation period, when it started, the transition, how did you settle down? How did you settle in to be able to heal yourself? So we want to hear from you, maybe somebody watching us live or going to watch us later. So it might give them hope, or the teenagers, the adolescents. You could share some of the tips that you tried, your insights that can help them.
So in the very beginning, because it has been an ongoing process, as you know.
There's no end to it. Of course, we don't call it as a, I will
but in the beginning, when I was first new into this life, I personally needed to be away from all of the things that would have triggered me. So I had to move towns. I had to be institutionalized. Basically, I went to a treatment center. It was 72 days, and I was surrounded by people who were in the same position as I was. And then also people who I could look up to who had been in the same place that I had been. So we had counselors and sponsors and workers, and we went to meetings to surround myself with people that had experienced addiction, experienced life the way that I had experienced the traumas, and then could show me that it was possible to live differently. I needed to establish routine, which was very grounding. So like, and you always hear it, like, make your bed every day, like, eat well-balanced meals, like really establish a sleep pattern that is healthy. Like you're going to have a bedtime, and you're going to have your time that you wake up. Routine was incredibly important to be able to get out of the chaos that I was living, and to settle into something that I really had never experienced before. Because even growing up, I didn't experience like consistency or routine. My patterning, and even to, a couple of years ago, was I need to be moving. I couldn't settle down. It was really difficult for me to ground into my body. I had to constantly be moving. And like I said, it's an ongoing process, but the beginning of it was that. And then there was the understanding that there was nothing wrong with me. There was the spiritual principle, like introducing spiritual principles into my life, where I was honest about what was going on with me, with people that were safe. I was willing to try something different, right? I was open-minded to what people who had come before me and who had gone through what I'd gone through and gained insight on. I was open to the suggestions that they were making. And even if I didn't trust them, which didn't come for a while, I was open. So it was the baby steps to that. And I was held very safely by the people the community that I got into, right? And I struggled with the concept of God, with the word God for a long time. I struggled with, I was agnostic for a while, where I was like, well, if there was a God, why would these things happen to me? Like, I don't understand it, right? Like, so I really wrestled with that. And I think that is actually something that my higher power, my soul contract, was designed to do, because then that actually opened an open conversation for me to start questioning and then experiencing what it was to have a personal relationship with a higher power, and really experience in a real way, like what that divine love felt like. So the openness brought me to that. And another thing was really focused on working. And that was a lot of writing, and a lot of writing on spiritual like there's the 12 steps or the 12 steps, that's a program of spirituality, and you have to write it out. It's a program. So you have a designed program to go through to really uncover, discover, and discard the things that are no longer working, and see exactly what it is that I need to do without shame, without judgment. It's just acceptance of who I was in that moment. Those were really key for me in the beginning, and set the foundation of it. Like I focused and I dedicated a year to writing step works and to helping newcomers and being of service, and really, really understanding spiritual principles and trying to discover what my higher power was for me. So yeah, yeah, it's a lot, but I mean, that's what I had to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's never ending, and we keep evolving, and we need to be able to heal ourselves. Like self-healing journey is an ongoing thing, right?
It is.
Even if you're been under traumatic experiences or anxiety or depression or even suicidal tendencies, ideation, all of it doesn't just go away. It doesn't get it doesn't go away in the thin air. It keeps haunting you. It keeps coming like
yeah. And I'm at a point in my life now where I'm like, okay, like this is kind of fun. Like I get to work on this. Like I call it contrast, where it's like if I'm finding myself in opposition to someone or something, and it's about the contrast in my life. And if I'm experiencing contrast through my feelings, like I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling out of sorts or angry, I have a curiosity about it now, where it's like if I'm feeling a little bit low mood, or and I like, even through my work, like recently I was diagnosed with PTSD because I was working as a nurse downtown East Side in Vancouver. I don't know if many people would know that, but if you're from British Columbia in Canada or North America, you definitely will know what I'm talking about. It's an open air drug market. I was a nurse working during the pandemic there, and there was 6 significant traumatic experiences that happened, and I got PTSD. And if it would have been 10, 15 years ago, I would have been like devastated. I'm like, oh my. Now I'm just like, okay, like this is just another layer of healing that needed to occur in order for me to be able to upgrade to help more people to experience more things. Because I'm continuously being like, oh, like wanting to heal this, and like enjoying the experience of getting closer to myself, getting closer to God, getting closer to like my spiritual side. And I'm not inviting any more trauma, like higher power, thank you. But at the same time, it's like this last manifestation of my soul contract has been like, now you're going to understand your deep rooted feelings inside of my body, and like what it means to ground and really feel safe inside my body and in my environment. And I could see that pattern come out, and I really enjoy that process of self-discovery, right? And I think that if like I look at these, like there's some gurus out there, and God bless them, like everyone has an ego, and I can see it happening, where it's like, are you doing the work? And that would be exactly my question. Whenever I'm working with someone, whenever I'm looking for a mentor, it's like, are you experiencing contrast in your life, and what are you doing in order to be able to learn from it and heal from it? And if I meet someone, they're like, I've got the answer and I figured it out, and they have that like grandiosity about them, I'm like, that's kind of cute, right? Like I'm cautious with that. I can see that woundedness coming out. I never have the answer for anybody. I have the answer for myself if I go internally. And I think that's what people should be looking for when they're looking for a mentor is, are you doing the work? Are you experiencing the contrast? Like, are you able to be vulnerable about what you're experiencing? And that's a very important aspect to working with healers, in my opinion.
Yes, as you rightly pointed out, are you experiencing? So that's where it all comes down to, right? Yeah, I experience it quite often, even these days. I did also, suffer from clinical depression and the suicidal. So whatever we are right now, I think we are getting into this healing journey
Mhm.
because we have felt that need and we have been there, and what it looks like, what it seems like to be able to help the other person and who
Absolutely.
is going through. So we understand, we feel the pain,
Exactly.
and we could truly be able to relate much,
Absolutely.
much better than anybody else. I think you are the chosen one, chosen gem, because sometimes we question ourselves, like, why me, right?
Yeah.
No, we,
Yeah.
you are the truly a chosen one.
Yes.
It's never easy. It's not an easy, whatever you've been describing in words, I
Mhm.
can totally understand and relate, and what it feels like to be here.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, you're standing tall,
Mhm.
and oh, look at the world. How what experiences that I have learned it by undergoing all of this.
Yeah.
Whatever you name it, and giving it to others.
Yes.
So that's not an easy thing. So
It's not.
my another question will be to you in this. So okay, let's say you've been in this healing journey, the transformation has happened, and you are helping out, you're doing a great work.
Mhm.
um, Even if you um, PTSD or anxiety, so it's going to happen. It's we
Mhm.
are human beings.
Yes.
All that we need to understand, yeah, accept it,
Yeah.
accept the feelings, and emotional intelligence is very
Yeah.
need of the art, and it's very important. And in these years, or in these the journey of dealing with or helping the teenagers or the adolescents who are in the rehab centers, or were there any moments, or I'm sure maybe it would be correct me if I'm wrong, so were there moments of those kind of disturbances in your life, or where just trying to slip away, or what brings you, what motivates you,
Mhm.
those moments to be able to no put your foot down, yes, no, I am here for a reason.
I at this point in my life, like when I have those moments, it's that I've learned over the years of experiencing them that it's
Mm.
time to sit and it's time to be still and it's time to listen to my body and to ask it what it needs, really,
Mm.
right? Because depression, I've experienced depression in my life. And
Mm.
now if I feel a little bit of a low mood coming on, I'm like, okay, like I'm not going to fight it. There's nothing really to fix anymore.
Yeah.
What do you need, my lovely body, my lovely temple, like here on earth? What is it that you're needing? Oh, you need some rest. You need some more gentleness. You need some gentle movement. Um, if I'm experiencing anxiety, it's like, what kind of breathing am I doing? Like, what is it that my body is telling me? Like my human experience, my humanity is telling me. If I'm experiencing anxiety, it's generally because I'm overdoing something, or I'm relying on my squirrel monkey mind too much, and I'm not in a spiritual like realm. I'm not relying on my connection to my higher power. So I don't look at it as a bad thing anymore. And that's actually what brings me out of it, right? I know it's temporary. I know that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And if I can find joy and gratitude in the moments when I'm feeling low,
Yeah.
that's what actually is the
Yeah.
superpower,
Mhm.
right? I'm not judging anymore. I'm not judging
Yeah.
myself in those moments where it's like, I need to do better. I need to do this. I need to get out of this. I should go and see a doctor. I need to get that medication. And I'm not knocking medication. Let's be clear. Medication has its place.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, for me, I'm not looking to it as a first line of how to fix myself. I come at these moments where I'm not in a place that I want to be with curiosity and as an opportunity to know how to care for myself a little bit more. And that really has been pivotal in my healing of my childhood traumas, anxiety, depression, PTSD. It's finding gratitude and joy in the moments. And when I cry, I'm just like, I'm crying. Like, thank you for allowing me to feel, because there was a period in my life where I couldn't feel very much. I was so disassociated from my body. So if I need to cry now, I cry. If I need to scream now, I scream. And I feel relief in that moment. I'm like, wow, I really know how to take care of myself. I am a source of safety in my life. So that's how I get out of that. I don't judge it. I allow it to happen. I do what my body is asking to do. I move the feelings through my body. And I find gratitude. I find gratitude for those moments, really. Yeah.
Right. That is a wonder mechanism, right? I mean, I still do it. I mean, when it all started, so I started to realize the importance, and then, your days cannot move without, doing your journaling or even your affirmations, your positive thoughts and thinking. So I do it every single day. So it has been a great boon, even in my the journey of healing and transformation from emotional imbalances, the mental imbalance, and the physical challenges that I had to go through. So it really works as a wonder mechanism, as I said. One more question. So would you like to share it with our viewers about any probably a random case study where what you felt um, employing the techniques of what worked for you? Let's say, for example, spirituality worked well for you. So that actually came as a, like a calling. It came in your life to be able to, okay, this is the path that I want to choose, right? So all of it, what you must have tried, I'm sure. We all keep trying different techniques. There is no one set, one thing fits all, right? So with those experiences, like, would you like to share in your clientele where you dealt with those difficult teenagers, or to be able to help them to cope up and bring them out? What are the things that you would have?
There's so many things in the wheelhouse, and my mind's going a million miles a minute right now. What do I do? What circumstance, right? But I think what you were what you were speaking to before, it's like those daily success habits where it's like, what do I have that I do daily? And I break it down into like the mind, body, spirit. So so my mind is like checking my thoughts always comes into play, where it's like, is this true? Is this accurate? Are my feelings dictating it? Like, is the little girl inside of me, my ego, I call it my ego, is she running the show? And how is that benefiting for me? So I'm constantly checking where my energy's at with my thoughts. Like, what are my thoughts telling me? What is my contrast telling me? And being curious about it. And then, like reading the stuff that I read, it changes all the time. But right now I'm doing A Course in Miracles. So that is, a daily practice. And it's complicated but simple, because you only have one task a day. So that's mind, but that also comes into spirit, because there's a meditation aspect to that, right? So meditation, and I love it, because I'll have some clients, I'll like bring meditation up, they're like, oh no, I can't do that, like I can't meditate, like, and I'm like, well, did you know that you can literally decide what kind of meditation that you want to experience? Like, you can do a walking meditation, you can have written meditation, you can do A Course in Miracles, which is a meditation, guided meditation, breathing, yoga in itself is an entire like mind, body, spirit practice. You don't even have to do yoga. You can just do a little movement, do some breathing, right? I can control my nervous system through my breath, right? And you just have to get into your body with your breathing, right? So that's body, right? Like meditation, whatever kind it is so incredibly important, right? Like shifting so-called negative like character aspects to positive ones, where it's like, well, if I'm greedy, I'm gonna switch that greed to a generosity, right? Like looking at it in that way, like that's a mind body spirit shift, right? Mind spirit shift. But movement is incredibly important too, and like shaking, dancing, yoga, running, walking. It doesn't have to be a chore. Like it's something that I'll do, and it changes all the time based on my need. And that's what I will do for my clients too, right? Now, and I'm probably having a hard time answering this because every client that I have, every person I work with is different. They're going to be in a different place, right? So I don't have a one size fits all for everybody, because I might have someone that's dealing with extreme agoraphobia and panic disorder or OCD, who, if I'm like, oh, like you need to go to like, like a yoga class and like go to this, they actually can't leave their house, right? They can't go to a gym in that moment. So adjusting what it is within that realm of mind, body, spirit is incredibly important. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. It is. So what does your day look like, Jessica? Or maybe you could share the top most coping mechanisms that you deal with it quite often.
Yeah.
The chosen ones, maybe.
The chosen ones for sure
are, which is helping you, like all these years.
The chosen one right now recently has definitely been my sleep pattern. And so having a set bedtime and when I wake up is incredibly important. I just switched to working nights, so that's been quite an adjustment for me. And I knew going into it, okay, like I'm going to be affected, so I'm not going to be able to go and do my yoga and out of the house and stuff. So I need to really focus on redoing my sleep schedule. So that's been incredibly important. That's number one. My sleep is number one. So even though I've switched to nights, I'm like, okay, this is my wind down experience. This is my routine. This is almost like a ritual. I make it a ritual. Like I've got my tea, I've got my bed is made already, right? My curtains are closed. I've got quiet. I'm not on my phone doing social media, right? Like sometimes that's not always like good, but as long as I'm falling asleep and I'm getting 7 hours, because 7 hours is actually my max, 8 is not good for me. I know what I need. Sleep is number one. Nutrition.
That's very important. I mean, knowing your body, where you come from, what is your requirement. If people listen to that, I keep saying this, listen to your body and mind. I mean, it is a beautiful thing. It keeps giving us those warning signs. The moment you go, why it abuses you, you abuse you.
Bing, 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 bing. The warning signs go off, and it's like, okay, what do I have to do? Nutrition is definitely very important too, but in that as well, like, because I've switched lately to nights, I've been craving sugar. Like, I'm like, oh, I need so much sugar. And I'm like eating so much sugar. And I'm like, then I became aware of it. I'm like, okay, like this is starting to get a little bit unhealthy. Like I'm not actually feeling good eating this much sugar. Like it was an immediate need and I like gave myself it, but I'm like, okay, now we're going to step it back. And just having a balanced diet is important. I don't believe in dieting necessarily. I believe in balance in the diet and listening to what your body needs, like taking the time to be like, my body's really craving protein right now, right? And like listening to it, and it's like, okay, like I'm going to give my body protein, or my body's only craving like fermented foods and like tea, like, and sometimes it can be that. So really tapping into that intuition of what my body needs nutritionally is very important, because it changes with the seasons as well. So really being in tune and taking the time to ask my body again, like, what is it that you're needing? Like, probably not this much sugar. This seems to be a little bit of like a habitual, like almost like a childlike need for comfort that, and I gave it, but then I'm like, adult Jessica needs to come out and be like, whoa, 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 we're not going to eat like 5 donuts today. Okay. We're going to have some oranges and some strawberries, and this is what you're getting. So I parent myself in that way, right? Like I talk to my little inner child and I'm like, maybe it's not a good idea to eat this like chocolate bar. It's probably a good idea to do this. And I really listen to myself and give myself that love that way, and without judgment too. Like, yes, like, did I eat donuts? Yes, I ate donuts. But it was like, am I going to judge myself for that? No, I'm not going to judge myself for that. I'm going to be like, I had a need and I fulfilled it.
Yeah.
If I continue to do that, it's probably not the healthiest. So maybe we'll make better choices. There's no judgment in that, right? Yeah. So nutrition, but it's like an extra layer when you bring in that spiritual side of it, when you bring in that like love side of it. You know, it's not like you need to eat a balanced meal and you need to run 5 times a day. It's like, no, like, what do I lovingly need to provide myself? Right. And movement too. Again, like my yoga practice is very important to me. And I was someone that said that I would never do yoga because I live on the West Coast and it's very like, it's very trendy here. Like it's really, but I ended up having to do yoga instead of lifting weights, or like I used to do high intensity interval training, but it didn't work with my nervous system anymore. And again, listening to my body and being like, what is it that I need? And it ended up being that I needed more traditional yoga practice. So, right. And the universe always answers. So it's like, you put it out there, like, I don't want to do like West Coast yoga. No offense to anyone who does it. Like, it's great. It just wasn't for me. And I'm like, I really want like traditional yoga. And lo and behold, there's a studio in my little town in Langley, BC, where they have more traditional yoga practices with like teachers that really ascribe to like, you know, like the mantra mudras and meditations and like the breathing and like the vinyasa flow with the breathing, where it's like, it's not just the movement, there's an actual spirituality to it. So I listened to my body, intuitively listened to my body for movement. And yoga for me was really actually something that it grounds me. I love it. And I make that my priority. Like if my job asks me to the point where if my job asks me to pick up a shift and it actually if my yoga class is at that time, I say, sorry, I cannot do it, because I put those things first for my mental health to come first.
Important. You comes at the first forefront, right? I mean, that's incredibly important. One is listening without judgment. And as you rightly said, I mean, I'm so glad that you are, setting those priorities for yourself. Okay, things can wait. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing. If I learned that, like that's what this gift of PTSD had given me. It was like, oh, the actual ultimate gift of self-care. Because if I put anything ahead of myself ever again, my family falls apart. I fall apart. Like my job falls apart. I can't provide care to anybody. If I'm not caring for myself in the way that I'm asking my clients to care for themselves, like it just doesn't work, right? It just doesn't work. So yeah, providing care to myself first and foremost. Like it came to me I did an automatic writing exercise, love automatic writing. And it came to me, it was like, be a shining example of self-care. And that's literally how you help clients, people. Like, it doesn't even have to be clients. It can be anybody that's like, if someone crosses my path that is like wanting to connect in that way, and I have a tidbit to give them, I'm like, we'll try this, right? You know, that's how we help people is helping ourselves.
Very true. Yeah. I mean, unless we put ourselves first, and we won't be able to do justice or bring in any kind of change in anybody's lives, right?
No.
Yeah. Do you want to share anything with our viewers, Jessica? And it has been very, very valuable insights that what you've shared. And thank you so much for sharing your story. I mean, it is very touching, and at the same time, I could feel the pain when I could feel that where you're coming from, and to be able to bring in some little changes in where you're relating yourself. Oh, I've been there. Yeah, I want to help you, right? Yeah. So thank you, thank you, thank you again. Gratitude to you. So it is going to definitely. So our attempt is trying our ways to bring in hope, trying our little ways to bring in some change. Maybe in some part of the world, one corner of the world, somebody is watching, so they needed to listen to this story of yours, and it is their calling through
It
you.
is. And
Yeah.
that's it. You know what? And I love a story with everybody has trauma, right? Everybody does. I love my story. I love people with a story like my story, where it was like, because we're literally born to heal it. We're put on this earth to heal these patterns. That's what it is. That's a gift. Yeah.
Any last words?
No, I just thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure for sure to share myself. Yes.
Yeah, and you take care of yourself. All the very best. I think we're going to have to do a lot many work together,
Yes.
as we've already discussed.
Yes,
we have
absolutely.
a long way to go. So let's work together. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Bye-bye, viewers. Stay tuned with us for yet another episode in the coming weeks, coming months. If you are one with another powerful story, if you wish to share it with the world, please do connect with me on any of my social media channels or Facebook. Do get in touch with me to go on live with me, Priya Sitaraman, signing off for the day. Thank you so much. It is an Eye for Peace social and charity initiative. Thank you.